I'm Pastor Tyrell Bramwell, and this is a Canceled Christian Comment. Let me ask you, dear Ferndaler, do you think it's wise for Ferndale's Chamber of Commerce to intentionally attract leftists to our old-fashioned community? I mean, from a sustainability perspective, do you think Ferndale will retain its historic Rockwellian charm when leftists continually arrive with their new and bizarre ideas, changing this thing and that, all the while, see, that's not a problem by itself, but all the while, conservatives stop coming here because, well, who wants to vacation in yet another California tent city ridden with drugs, violence, sexual perversion, and all the crime and excrement that leftist policies produce? Do you think that's wise? Now, how about in terms of, and I'm even loath to go here, how about in terms of safety? Do you think Ferndale will be more or less safe because the chamber spends time and capital wooing leftist money from the Bay to Main Street? I mean, those dollars do come in pockets, and those pockets are on people with certain perspectives, leftist perspectives, ones that foster and encourage mental delusion, social instability, violence, and irresponsible behavior. I mean, do we really want Main Street to look like a San Francisco Walgreens? I mean, I kind of like that our pharmacy doesn't have everything locked behind plexiglass. How about you? I mean, in years past, St. Mark Lutheran Church, we were a member of the Ferndale Chamber of Commerce. In fact, as the church's representative at the meetings, I did a stint as secretary for the chamber. And despite the Ferndale Enterprise editing my minutes to fit the editor's agenda, and the president of the chamber at the time trying to convince a chamber member, a member of the organization, not to join the church, another member of the organization, because I'm a homophobe. Despite that, I enjoyed the opportunity to serve my neighbors. My Ferndale fairy tale children's books, they came about because of my service to the community at the chamber, because of my time in that organization. And even some of my earliest YouTube videos were vlogs to support the chamber's goal of attracting tourists to our Victorian village.
What's up, everybody? I'm Tyrell Bramwell. If you're new to this channel, and you probably are, because we're just getting started, this is going to be where you can watch from Ferndale, a travel vlog based on everywhere you can go and the things you can do from Ferndale, California.
What kind of tourists? Well, I didn't know at the time. But to hear the then sitting president of the chamber describe them, you'd think they had to listen to NPR on a regular basis, or perhaps tune in to KEET, only stay at Airbnbs, and appreciate musicians who yell F Trump from the stage because their music isn't good enough to produce cheers without said political stimulant. I mean, you'll have to forgive my editorializing. This is commentary, and it is my canceled Christian comment after all. However, like many others, St. Mark Lutheran Church eventually dropped our membership with Ferndale's Chamber of Commerce. We did that because it was apparent that there were significant, immoral, ideological views that weren't being kept in check. And we didn't want to be affiliated with or support an organization that didn't actually have Ferndale at heart. And from my inside observation, as the one attending the meetings, the Ferndale Chamber of Commerce exists to cater to a few select businesses in town, while paying lip service to everyone else, all the other members, and completely dismissing and contesting the other residents of this community. The insidious infusion of indivisible influences, you might remember, the Indivisible group, the leftists now known as Friends of Ferndale, they wanted to promote Ferndale to the outside world, not as it is, but as they want it to be, and as they're making it be. Not a historic dairy community with traditional American values, an old-fashioned working village that people visit to get away from the depressing tent cities created by California's leftist policies, but a hitherto uncorrupted town sustained by conservative ideals just ripe for the ruin of leftist gentrification. This divide that these woke warriors created in our town prompted the formation of a different group of locals called the Spirit of Ferndale, who came together because they didn't want their beloved community hijacked by transplanted operators and their local allies who would have our Victorian village turned into a leftist dive flooded with vice and vile and void of the old-fashioned virtues necessary to sustain our way of life, the values held dear by so many of the locals upon which our community was built. ideals that respect the Christian faith, the natural family, and God-given freedom. Now, I pray for the Spirit of Ferndale because it seems to me that they're doing good work. I also pray for the Chamber of Commerce because, as it seems to me, they're not. At least, I pray for the many members of the chamber because they're the ones who've been working against Christ and his church in the name of wokeism. But now it also would seem that their assaults on Christianity, the destruction of the natural family, and the annihilation of freedom that God gives us, has been ratcheted up from the individual level to an official corporate one. As just last month, they worked as an organization to lobby the Ferndale City Council to pass an anti-hate resolution that they so desperately wanted to see adopted. Why? Because we at St. Mark Lutheran Church won't capitulate to their intimidation tactics, and, well, we might actually obstruct their goals of destroying our homes and the lives of our neighbors. Now, I was surprised. I really was surprised that they wrote a letter signed by the Chamber's board of directors to the city council, because the Chamber says, and it even said when I was on the board, that it's not and never will be a political organization. It really seems to me that like they're engaging in political activity, doesn't it? They're even signing off their emails with a political slogan pushed only by the left side of the aisle. Now, certainly, they know that today there is hardly anything more political than the normalization of the LGBTQ. Either they're living under a rock, or they think the rest of us Ferndalers are. And maybe someone closer to them could let these folks know just how political their organization has become. I mean, it has, guys. It really has. You're political operatives at this point. And it can be. The chamber can be political. From my understanding of the law, there's nothing on the books that requires our Chamber of Commerce to be apolitical. They can lobby the city council all they want for the things that they want to see happen in the city that are going to help economics from their perspective. The problem lies in that they're saying they're not political when they are political. That's called a lie. And the question is then, are their members, the current chamber members, are you aware that they are advocating for polarizing political resolutions in our community? And I'm especially interested to know if Christian members of the chamber know that their dues are supporting these efforts to embrace what God says is sin. And if you didn't know that, maybe you do now. And maybe you'll want to let the chamber's board know you're not okay with being part of an organization that supports the assault on Christianity, the destruction of the natural family, including the physical abuse of children, and the annihilation of our God-given freedom. We did. We dropped our membership. I'm Pastor Tyrell Bramwell, and this has been a Canceled Christian Comment.